I can imagine the conversion rate is fairly low, but if you've got a higher ticket offer, above $100, let's just say, the math can work out. You don't need to convert at a crazy high rate for the math to work.
Treading water is the same as drowning to people like you and me. You better start swimming. Welcome to I'm the One podcast. I'm your host, Rob Green.
Welcome to today's podcast. We've got Devon Meadows from the Ads Lab. Welcome, Devon.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice to be
And
here.
the Ads Lab is a Skool community. First off, I'm not in Hawaii, even though I'm wearing my Hawaiian shirt. I typically have a set of clothes here at the office for podcast episodes, and I came in today, and this is the only one I had on the rack. So we're going the summer Hawaiian shirt today in the fall. But I just want to say, and I say this a lot of times, and it's always authentic. I'm excited to talk about stuff with our podcast guests. But with you, this applies to me directly. So I'm going to try to keep this as brief as possible, Devon, if we get off track, because I'm super excited about Skool. You've done some e-commerce. I do e-commerce. We built our own community recently. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. But first of all, just tell us a little bit about, what you've done and how you got started in this community building.
Yeah, for sure, man. Well, it's November. We started back in April. I come from e-commerce. I've been in business for about 10 years, online businesses, starting from like SEO and affiliate, into private label, into Amazon FBA, into Shopify stores, drop shipping, and then moving into making my own Shopify store. I've had a lot of these tries, a lot of learnings over a long time. And so coming across over to Skool where I was when we started in April, I run an online clothing store, and another friend of mine who has another online like e-com store, his is much bigger than mine, Matt. We were just like comparing our ads all the time. Ads were the base for all of the traffic for our e-com store for me for the last 5 years. And so we recognized that like we basically would not have been where we are if we weren't comparing notes. I was looking at his ad account, he was looking at mine. I would tell him to do stuff. I'm like, you really got to change your product photography. Like the lifestyle that you're doing, those images aren't working. Like for me, it's like flat lays. And he was really good at offers. And so his suggestions to me were like, you're just running traffic straight to your product pages. Like, why aren't you bundling? Let's work on your offers, your upsells. And so we helped each other because we were looking at data together and we were just friends. And so I joined Skool like back in March because I actually found another community for clothing brands. It's called The Project, actually. Shout out to Caprice. He ran an Instagram ad or something to me, and I joined and thought it was really cool. And and that's kind of where I started to learn about Skool, just as a member of a community that was talking all about, I was like learning from all these 18-year-olds, which is kind of funny because I'm like a 33-year-old dude. I've done all these different marketing things over the years and learned ads, and I join, and all these 18-year-olds are just like crushing it in e-com. And it's because they are really good at organic. They're really good at just like scarcity. They just like will close their shop and only open it for limited times. They're doing wait lists and their photography is super good. And I'm over here just like, I'm just running ads. I'm terrible at organic. So this is how I got introduced to Skool because I was trying to learn and get better at organic. And so anyways, Matt and I decided, I approached Matt and I was like, we should start a Skool group, man. We should help people with Facebook ads like we're helping ourselves. And so we started a Skool group dedicated to helping people just run Facebook ads for their online businesses originally. And we quickly realized like everyone that's joining is a Skool group owner. It wasn't everybody running e-commerce stores that we were attracting. It was really like Skool group owners. And we got feedback from one of the bigger influencers of Skool, from Evelyn Weiss. She just DM'd me. She's like, you need to just do Skool Facebook ads only. You don't need to do everything else. Just be Skool. Like, trust me, it'll work. And so we pivoted into just being the ads lab for Skool group owners only, like probably around May. And and from there we've been iterating every month since. We won the Skool games a couple months ago and went to Vegas. I just got back from Vegas like a week ago from hanging out with the other games winners, and here we are now. And we're primarily like a low ticket group with and we're flirting and dancing with some high ticket things here and there. But yeah, that's kind of the setup where we've come
Talk to
from
me
so
about
far.
talk to me about what does low ticket mean to you?
Sure.
What price point is that?
Funny enough, like low ticket is actually a new term to me. Like in e-commerce, I didn't have this terminology of low ticket, high ticket at all. Everything was I'm trying to sell a $40 t-shirt and then I'm trying to get the LTV up. So it's like I never really thought about low ticket, high ticket, or MRR until I joined Skool. I did work in software for a while. Like I helped some SaaS teams like build some like some product whenever I lived in Oakland. So I had some software background for so MRR was familiar to me, but low ticket to me now I've learned from being on Skool and hearing everyone talk about it constantly is like our $100 a month group is low ticket. I would say
Okay.
somewhere between like 100 and 500. You enter the middle ticket range, and then high ticket I would consider like over 1,000 a month or so.
Are there a lot of those high ticket that are selling well?
It's hard to know because they currently like have to capture payment off platform if they're really higher the high ticket. Like I know somebody on Skool that I met at the games that I mean they make like over 150,000 a month on high ticket. It's all captured outside of Skool because it's like a 10K payment up front. You can only collect 5K and then it's attached annually. So with the limits, a lot of the high ticket people um they're not as known because they don't get the little gems by their name on Skool. They don't get all the flair. If you do low ticket and all of your payments are tracked on Skool, everyone can actually see that you are making the amount of money you're in. Like the little icon next to your name reflects how much money you're making. So it's kind of hard to tell with high ticket, but I think a lot of people are doing really well in high ticket from what I can guess.
Do some of those guys just take payment off platform and then make it a free group, but you have to like approve the users?
Yeah, they take payment primarily on Samcart, I've noticed. And
Okay.
then I mean you could click the free button and switch it to paid on the group. So it says paid but it doesn't say a price. And then when you
Ah,
click it just you just answer questions and that's it. And so I noticed a lot of people they'll put a link to like their funnel on the about page and they'll
okay.
have a disclaimer that's like you have to join and pay first, and then when you hit join here, we'll approve you if you've already paid. It's and so they do that right now. Um, yeah,
That seems, my understanding is that Skool limits it to, I think it's $5,000 because of payment processing and fraud, is what I think I heard Hormozy say.
yeah, that's what
So
I heard as well.
they're missing out on a lot of money if I've got to move my payment processing off platform.
Yeah, they are. They I think they're working on this
Yeah.
because I know it's 5K and that's annual. It's 1K if it's monthly, and then it's
Okay.
1K if it's a one-time purchase in the classroom. Those are current limits. But I have
Okay.
a feeling like they're gonna have new options soon. But I don't know if I could say much about that.
No,
We
that's
hung out with a lot of the school with a lot of the Skool community, the Skool like built the people building Skool when we were in Vegas, and they were talking a lot about this and talking about adding more features and unlocking more price points, and even talking about potentially adding more like price points for groups on Skool. So it's currently $100 a month. They're talking about incorporating what $200 a month group price, getting you extra this or that. And so I know that currently the limit of how much money you can bill is set to where it's at, but they want to open it up, but they have to kind of consider the fraud department. There's a lot of implications. So
no, that makes sense. I've started two school communities in the last like 3, 4 months. One was a free one for creators on TikTok and Instagram, with the hopes of providing some education, but then also helping us to kind of build a group of creators that
mm,
we can then tap into for our brands.
yeah.
Finding good, figure if we can train them, there might be some reciprocity, and then we could hire them. They're already
Mm,
trained up the right way. That was the first group we started, and did some professional recording at a studio and things like that. And then
mm,
about 6 weeks ago, my buddy and I are talking about it. I go, we should just start a brand owner one for e-commerce brand owners that we know. And so we
mm,
just launched that, and it's called Talk Domination. And
sweet.
it's been going
Yeah.
great, man. We didn't know where to price it, honestly, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on this because we put it at $500. I didn't
Yeah.
want to do anything at like 50 or 100. I don't mind selling more people in, but it's really a tough call to decide. Is it 50? Is it
I
100? Is it
know.
500? Is it the free and then it goes up to another group? How did you guys think? I mean, you've been doing this 7 months. You're an old timer now on this, but how did you guys think
Yeah,
about pricing?
I know. This has actually been constant conversation since we started every month. And we just picked up another person that's basically on the founding team, Joel. I should give credit to him because he joined us right before the school games, and he's like our mini Hermosi. He's the guy that gets people in. He's the growth guy, and he's like, price is different depending on the person and the flavor profile of
Yeah.
what they want to do in their career, really. And so we're always like reconciling what I want, what they want, what it means to do one or the other. But as a person that's come from SaaS, like from software as a service, I've always really, I have a baby at home. I got 2 year old and a wife. I live in the forest. I don't really live in a city, and I enjoy life and I enjoy work, and I want there to be time. And I've noticed that when I charge more than $1,000 for something, people that I'm billing, there's more that they want from me than what I will give them in my time slot that I've dedicated. And um and so I like limiting things down into the $100 range, and then getting a lot of quantity, and working on a way for the community to help serve itself so that it will scale, as opposed to like less people, high ticket, because of the I don't want people texting me. I don't want to be super accessible to a bunch of people because I feel indebted to them because they're paying a lot. And
Mm.
so for me, my personal preference is like, I would rather have 5,000 people, paying me $100 a month or less, and that be the income stream, so that I could just go take a break for a couple of weeks. I feel like that goes up to $500, $1,000 offers for sure. You could do that same thing, but um, yeah, to me, I almost see a school group as a software product. Like the group is a product. Yeah.
I agree with you. Let me challenge some of those limiting beliefs you may have on that thought.
Yeah.
I think about it this way. I was advising a friend's company over a couple of years ago, and a really wealthy guy, much wealthier than I am, and he was getting into ecom, and he kind of has this framework that I really love, and he said, "Listen, I think about it this way: who has the biggest pain point? Can I solve their biggest pain point, and then can I capture a portion of the value that I've created for them? And if I can capture a portion of that value that I've created for them, then they'll be happy to pay me." And if you're from a SaaS background, I don't know if you ever read what's it, Innovator's Dilemma.
Mm, yeah.
Yes, I think that they come up with like 15 to 20% is like the sweet spot of the value creation that you can charge
Mm,
before it gets to be too expensive for so many people, or if you're like 5%, you're not capturing enough of the value create. So that's
yeah.
kind of how I think about it with and another thought I have on this, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think about three pieces of value in a school community. I think about it as there's calls. We do calls, 2 a week. Then we have the community aspect, which I think most people undervalue, including
Mm,
members. And then I think it's the content piece, whether that's a course, whether it's examples, whether it's SOPs or whatever it might be. Those are kind of the three pillars that I think about. And I tend to
mm,
value community the highest just because I've been in high end communities for a long time.
mm-hmm.
And I know the value of having somebody, when I post a question, getting a quality answer from somebody who's invested to help me.
Mm, yeah.
How do you
I
think about
Well, good. It's good stuff. I am kind of in this moment of challenging my pricing limitations. I'm used to selling a million t-shirts for $30, and so
that? Yeah.
I come from that world, and to win the games, we actually sold 30 people at a $1,000 a month offer, on top
Ah,
of giving letting in. I think we did like 10,000 in regular monthly recurring signups, so anywhere from $40 to $100. We ran the price up that month, and then the rest were $1,000 a month offers, where we give people more coaching on top of their in the group. And we did that to win the games, and we're learning a lot, like serving 30 people way more directly. And that's in, that feedback loop of now we give way better information in the group than before, because we kind of added on these higher like touch people were in their ad accounts, that there's a little more skin in the game. So I think it is healthy, but for me, I think I really want to protect that. I obsess over systems
Me too.
and the community, and courses, like classroom area. Like I really just want to spend all of my time in there. I just want to
Hmm.
I want to get like thousands of people better return on their ad spend at once all the time. Like the way Sam's just focused on Skool as a product and he's just working on a feature. Like I feel like I like doing that for my school group. My school group is the product. The way that the classroom motivates people to take actions, and then the way that the motivation of the group actually is working and people are helping each other, to me, like that's the product I'm always finessing. And I think I just enjoy more being in this zone of like making that better at all times, because everyone's ad returns get better if that whole thing gets better. And so I'm realizing, in order to do that, I think the higher ticket people help us learn a lot. And so we kind of dialed it way up. We got 30 of these people, and now we're dialing it way back. And the team's kind of decided like we'll take on 3 like
Hmm.
high ticket clients, and then we'll primarily focus on $100 a month monthly recurring offer. We'll also do an annual upsell, which the price is kind of variable. It's currently like only 400 an annual for us as an upsell, 60% off. We'll probably go up to 1,000 a month eventually. We're like, this is kind of my whole, the current state of affairs. This is kind of what we've landed on after a lot of pondering and trial and error. And yeah, I think it's good to have a mix, but I honestly like more just building the ship all the time, like I like kind of managing it. So
Yeah, I obsess over how do I add more value. I mean, that's my always my constant belief with any of my friends or family or business associates, anybody like that. I'm just, how do I add more value to them? So
mm,
constantly asking. We do an onboarding call. We only have 60-ish members, so
mm-hmm,
a little higher ticket group. And so I do an onboarding call. Well, I ask everybody to schedule an onboarding call with me when they sign up. And
mm-hmm,
funny enough, about a third of the people haven't even scheduled yet. And they're
mm,
like, we're good. I'm like, okay, we'll see you on the calls, I guess.
mm,
So, but we try to do the
mm,
onboarding because that gives me a sense of who they are, what they're looking to accomplish, what their
yeah,
biggest challenges, how should we get their feedback on how we should tailor the calls. We've got like a tactical, maybe a little bit beginner selling on TikTok shops call on Mondays. And then we've got a strategy and scaling call on Thursdays, which is more like,
mm-hmm,
hey, I want to take over the world, automation systems, that kind of stuff.
mm-hmm,
It's been a good balance to kind of separate those two. We record them, we put them all in there. Everybody can have access to the recordings. But it's interesting because we've gotten a lot more beginners than I thought we would have, especially
yeah,
at that price point. I mean,
yeah,
these people all have their own brands, and they've sold a brand or they have their current brand, but they haven't done TikTok Shop at all. And they're like, I'm in. And I'm like,
mm,
wow, okay. I thought we'd have more people like in the trenches that are already like, I've been pounding away on it for 6 months. I need to refine my
yeah.
process. So it's been a little interesting to us on who the avatar has been of the majority of our customers.
Mm. How are they finding you?
Just honestly, we've done 0 ads. It's all been word of mouth.
Word of mouth from e-commerce connections or e-commerce
Yeah,
clients or
mainly. No. We don't do. Brian and I have not done an agency or anything like that. I co-founded a mastermind, a small one, like 10 people, about
yeah.
7 years ago. Then
Okay.
my partner on it, Brian, he's been in the e-commerce for a while, and he's always doing presentations and speaking, and very much a
Mm,
giver also. So he just
yeah.
started reaching out to people he knew. That was it. And now we're
Yeah.
getting like, I had a call this morning with a guy, and he's like, "Hey," I'm like, "How did you find us?" And he's like, "You're Matt, your member referred me
Mm,
over. I live in Singapore and I want to join." I was like, "Okay, all right."
mm,
So we haven't facilitated that yet. And I'm a big ads guy. You and I talked before we started recording. So
mm-hmm.
we've got to get together a content / ad strategy to find more of the right people. And I'm curious about your thoughts. I mean, you guys are definitely going
Mm-hmm.
the Meta Facebook route. I was
Yeah.
thinking of the TikTok, LinkedIn route more than Facebook,
Yeah.
just because that's where I think a lot of business owners are on in LinkedIn, and then TikTok's the platform that we're talking about a lot. But I'd love to hear your
Yeah.
thoughts on why you guys chose the Meta universe.
Yeah. Well, there's currently not like a Skool tracking setup for TikTok where you can track purchases if they purchase on your Skool about page. So you could convert them on a funnel, track that to optimize your campaigns. But the reason we went with Meta, we actually our group was live the day that Skool dropped their Meta integration. So we actually have been teaching this since the first day that it came out, and we were the only ones doing it for a while. And so we wanted to do it because we were first and we knew how to do it. And so that was kind of why we decided to go. We love Skool, and they literally, the day they launched the Pixel, I think our team, we were the first to notice that the setting was added, and I was like, we're the Facebook ads people. So that's I mean, that was that culmination where like I felt like we understood this trajectory of Skool. We're like,
Yeah,
it feels like we're here early. We like being here. It seems like more and more talented people are attracted here all the time, and no one's locked that down. So for us, we went all in to basically corner the market, and we also just like that was where we were at the time of looking for something new, as we were mainly spending time on Facebook ads for our e-commerce businesses, especially me, not as much Matt runs he runs a clothing company called Naturebacks, and it's like 500,000 Instagram followers. They're in stores. Um, yeah, I don't know what their sales numbers are. I don't know. But like it's over 40 million. I think
nice.
it's a big business, and Facebook ads are one segment of what he does. But I know he has like 20 employees. There's a lot of stuff to do. For me, I make everything on demand,
Mm,
and ads drive everything. I don't do any fulfillment, or it's all tools and ads and tools and ads and get optimization up. So for me, it's like I just lived and breathed trying to get a better return on ad spend for my business to work. And so yeah, I mean, so we were there at the right time. That's kind of what was on the brain. And like for me though, getting back to your original question, how do I see the community? Like you were talking about seeing the community in the classroom, and I feel like I didn't dive super deep into that.
yeah,
And that to me is actually like, I think one of the bigger, I feel like I see an issue with a lot of school groups where they're not considering the interaction between the classroom and the community and the calendar like deeply enough before they start running traffic and running ads. They haven't worked their offer into those three places and really connected them with this full strategy that's efficient, and then they can go run ads. And I see it with almost everybody. So we had a whole bunch of these high ticket clients the month that we won the school games, and they all paid us because we said we will run your ads for you. And every single one of them, we weren't ready to run ads when we started to look at what they were doing. 0% of them were like, we could flip the switch on and run ads. And these are people that they're willing to spend $1,000 having faith that we can do this. And
yeah,
all of them were like, okay, let's start with the offer. It's like pretty much everybody. So I noticed this thing on Skool. I think it's the low barrier to entry of Skool. And maybe there's a lot of people that actually have a lot of business experience. They try to build a Skool offer, and Skool's a little bit different, and the offer doesn't work totally right. And so to me, I think about the community and the classroom first. I think about like, how do I make a group where the classroom basically just motivates people and helps people get further down whatever your journey is, you're taking people on. It's inching them towards being better, but it's motivating them to use the community to get feedback from one another so that they can move forward without you. So it's like, to me,
yeah.
it's like I wouldn't even make a school group if I couldn't do that. And that's key for me. It's like I really want the classroom to spark the start and to motivate, and the system is built to do this. And that's why I see it as like a piece of software that is a community, but more of a piece of software than something like a Facebook group or a Coursera or a Skillshare. Because like what the people in the group do is indicative of how good of a product you've built. And if they're not doing the stuff and not getting the results, then you still have to work on that, like that offer and that structure that motivates people to get better. And so that's kind of how I see it. And that might be a bit different than some of the other groups that are either offering services, or it's more about like kind of the live call setup where it's live calls and a course.
I think I like the way you think about it. I think the way you think about it is harder to build
Yeah.
than a course and live calls.
Yeah.
But I think that I like your thinking, especially you can tell you got a software background because you're like, how do I get them in? How do I move them along the journey? How do I move them to the
Mm.
next step of their
Yeah.
journey? And then if they have success. So that I want to add some numbers to this because I'm a numbers
Okay.
guy. So how do you think about, and how, if you're open to sharing, churn, lifetime value of a customer? How do you a lot of these guys probably don't have established numbers yet. They got to run
Mm-hmm.
ads. You got to get an ROI on it. Hopefully you get an ROI on it. How do you
Yeah.
think about that churn, average lifetime value, and then running the ads?
Yeah. The way that I think about it is I really am shooting to be month one profitable for my ads. I want a return on ad spend of a 1.0 and I'll turn money up if I can get a 1.0 or better. And so yeah, if I can put 1,000 in and 1,000 is back, I'm good on that. I know that we don't churn more than 30% of people at any given time, but depending on how hard we're pushing, we churn between 10 and 30% of people. And so
Every month.
yeah, every month.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that it's because we only serve the school market, and a lot of people join just to see if it's for them,
Yeah.
and it's not, and they're not ready to run ads. And I think because it's just there is a high amount of information you need to be able to take in to run ads well without wasting money. I think a lot of people just realize it's not for them. It's not an easy game. And so with free trials that just came out like a week ago, a lot of this is changing right now. I think that the system that we were thinking about, which was churn and LTV and ROAS being sort of like, it's like try to hit a 1 at all times. It's kind of shifting now because a free trial currently captures on Facebook ads as a conversion that is worth the money of one sign up, but only 30% of the trials will convert. And so the money is now a little off. And so we now need to acquire customers. We need our return on ad spend to be even better,
3
knowing we're not going to convert.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you need 3 of them.
we need 3. Yeah. So um, or we need to upsell annuals. And so when people join, there's sort of an incentive to buy annual to get more that helps with cash flow. And so I the way that I think about it is I try not to get too like honestly we just pushed really hard the school games month. We were kind of like fuck the numbers, to be honest. Let's win the games before we can't win the games anymore because it's going to
Yeah,
be
it's super
unwinnable
hard now.
soon.
Super
Yeah,
hard.
our demographic is probably always going to be smaller than the people that are going to win in the future, which is like
Yeah.
you have to be on Skool, you have to be a moderator, and you have to want to run ads to your school group. It's like very specific. As we're trying to compete with people that are just like, do you have low credit, or do you live in a house or an apartment? So it's like we basically were like, we gotta do this. But surprisingly, we had a profitable month, and it was because of like an insane amount of sales calls. We spent like something like $27,000 on ads, and we generated $37,000 in monthly recurring revenue that month. And like half of our high ticket churned, and it's because we fulfilled the high ticket fast and got the results within 1 month. And then we're like, cool. And then they just rejoined at the low price. And it was honestly just like it was a success, but a lot of the churn from our group, we kind of went way up in our MRR and then tapered back down, is because that like temporary influx of all these $1,000 a month people, not all of them wanted to keep doing it, and we didn't want them to because we didn't have the capacity anyways. But like the way I think about those metrics is kind of like it's ROAS. I do look at the churn metric and I want it to be at 10%. Right now we're at like 30%. And I think it's what is typical of you push super hard to win the school games. I think we got some unqualified traffic. A lot of people are we're getting the price low before it went up. And so a lot of those people are falling off, and we're still kind of in the aftermath of that. But before we were pushing for that, we were at a 10% to 15% churn rate on Skool. So yeah, we kind of look at things in the through the lens of like month one profitable, churn under like at 10 or lower, and we don't really think about LTV, to be honest. We try to upsell annual.
Wow.
We try to keep people, we try to retain people. But if we're thinking about churn and we're thinking about our month one ROAS and we're thinking about upselling annually, we kind of just have decided like we don't need to think about LTV. Also, there's no LTV metric on Skool. It's a manual thing to figure out, and
Well, you can
it's
model out your LTV with your churn,
yeah
right? That's an easy, I mean, it's just an inverse of your churn rate, right? For
yeah
those listeners that aren't familiar, ROAS is return on ad spend. And Devon, feel free to borrow my favorite saying about this, by the way, if you haven't heard this one. So anytime anyone says, how much, what's your budget? I always say we have an unlimited budget for profitable activities.
mm-hmm.
So I use that one all the time. And if I got a 1.0 ROAS or above, which means I put $1 in, I get $1 out, Devin, I'd go nuts. I would pump money like nobody's business because some portion of those people are going to stay the next month
Exactly.
and the month after. So for me, when I hear numbers like that, I mean, dude, I would go crazy, Devin.
Yeah, we spend as much as we can. I mean, we hit the credit card limit every month, and that's been great. It's like, honestly, none of us draw any money from the business.
Okay.
We put all the money back in just to capitalize on continuing to be front and center as far as ads in Skool right now. We think that's the opportunity is to stay top of mind for people and continue to be the ones that people look to, and eventually we'll pull money. But like, we just put as much as we can back into it, and that means back into ads mainly. It's like 95% of the expense of our school business is ads.
Yeah, and that makes complete sense because the deliverability is just the school subscription, right? So the cost there. Okay, I'd like to share with you something that kind of broke my brain a couple of weeks ago from a pricing perspective. So we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but I'm this guy, Pace Morby. He's got a TV show. He's got a sub-2 community about creative financing. And I met him at a local meetup, and a friend introduced me, and we started talking. And I told him we just started a school community, and I think he's buddies with Hermosi, and was sharing why he wouldn't do that. And so I asked him why, and he said, well, I've got this big group, 15,000 people. They pay a lot of money one time. And I said, okay, as opposed to recurring, tell me about that. And he said, this is how I think about it. He says, I think about it as if there's friction to get somebody to give me that money that first time they sign up. If I do a monthly recurring, they then think about it every month. Am I getting $100 worth of value? Am I getting $500 worth of value? And then at some point, they're going to make a decision and say no, and they're going to cancel. He said, so my last interaction with them is negative. It's not positive. And I said, all right. I said, guy, you got the wheels turning. I said, that's really interesting. I said, I hadn't thought about it that way. What if I went to a one-time lifetime fee, right? And it has to be a fair amount of money, but a reasonable amount that it's like a no-brainer for anybody that's kind of committed to the group or the whatever you're working on from a community perspective. And then he said, after we did this for a few years, we then started a higher end group, which is 4 times the cost on an annual basis. And it's a much smaller group. It's like 2%, I think, of the people, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said, then you've got the annual of the really serious people who are like, yeah, real estate's the way that's my life. I live, breathe, eat, sleep, real estate. And I said, that's a really interesting perspective. He said, yeah, because if the people that join the main group and they leave, they just kind of walk away, right? He goes, and so then I've been thinking about this the last couple of weeks, a lot since I met him. And I'm like, all right, so what if we come up with a dollar amount? It's a lifetime, right? Mm-hmm. It's going to be more than your average churn, right? So if a person lasts, let's use $100, 3 months, it's 300. Let's say we use $500.
Mm-hmm.
It's a $500 lifetime. So I've already increased my average LTV, right? When they leave, they just kind of disappear. Like they don't have a negative experience when they leave.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you guys already did on your $1,000 a month one, how do I give them, or how does the community give them $1,000 worth of value in the first month?
Mm.
So, and this is the part I threw back at him, and I'm like, yeah, if you can give somebody double the value that they've paid one time, but you've given it to them quickly, they now in their head have checked that box. I got
Mm.
value out of this group. I put this investment in and I got value out of it. And short story, my wife and I, 8 years ago, it was a $10,000 mastermind. It was the most, I'd never gone to one before. And I said, hey, I'm thinking about going to this. It's in Mexico. What do you think? She's like, nah, I don't think you should do it. I said, I understand. 3 days later, I said, honey, I bought a ticket. I'm going to Mexico next month. It's 10 grand. And she called, and she's great. She's like, okay, it better be worth it. And I said, okay. And she called me. I called her at lunch that first day, and she goes, "You got your $10,000 value?" I said, "I've gotten way more than that in the first 4 hours." And so in my head, I was like, "And I'm going to meet other people, and I'm going to get other value." I'd already checked the box. Easiest ROI of all time. And so I've been thinking about this a lot. How do I give somebody so much value in the beginning? They go, "Wow, I'm so glad I joined this group," right? And then some of those people will self-select and say, "Hey, I want a really tight, higher end group of people who are really thinking about scaling or taking over the world, those kind of people, right?" And they'll
Yeah.
self-select into another group or choose another group. Any
Mm.
thoughts on this idea?
Yeah, this is good stuff, dude. So we started a mastermind for the
Okay,
ads lab. We have the
nice.
ads Skool ads mastermind, and we basically turned it into a wait list. We got about 10 to 15 people in there. We got 13 people in there, and it was pretty tight. Some of the Skool like names that people know, some of the members from the ads lab that just want to be closer to the people spending, and I don't know. I don't think we have the time to do it right now. So we turned it into a wait list because it's almost just like it's a big challenge to make the ads lab work with the amount of effort it takes for all three of us to just run the ads, fulfill inside of the ads lab to get everyone results, and then iterate when Skool's changing, like free trials came out, we restructuring all of our offers and our freebies. And for me, it's more important to work on the bottom of the funnel now so that I can work on the mastermind more in the long term.
I
But
agree.
Matt, who's like, Joel is our Hermosi, and he thinks about things like at this tight of a focus, and then I'm like the systems guy that builds everything, and then Matt is like he sees everything, and he says all the time, he's like, we're really just building a mastermind, so it's like so he sees that, but almost I honestly don't like my vision is on the systems and the results of the the classroom and the community. And I think Matt's vision is more set and he has ideas about how the mastermind will eventually be structured. But I'm not the one with like the vision on that side, and it's just not my type of
No, I get it.
thinking. Yeah,
I'm
but
more like Matt.
yeah,
I'm more like Matt in that way, that because
yeah,
I started co-founded a mastermind 7 years ago. It's all e-commerce. I'll give you a vision that we've created that might apply to you guys. What I found in masterminds, everybody pays a lot of money and then they just show up to learn. So when my friend Pablo and I created ours, what we said is we're just going to charge the amount to host the event. So we get a killer house or two houses, depending on how many people. We get a chef. We go do fun stuff. Like, we used to do them in like Marbella, Spain, and we've done them all over the world. And then everybody just shares the cost. And we've
mm-hmm.
kind of solidified here in Scottsdale because three of us live here and we all get
Yeah,
tired of traveling sometimes. But it's like a couple grand, right? But then you get this really cool experience. It's like only $2,000 a person. And then what happens is if you don't bring value, we ask you not to come anymore.
mm.
So you have to maintain your core membership. We vote, we stack rank everybody. And if you're in the bottom three, 2 out of 3 events, it's probably not a good fit for you, right?
Okay,
And
that's
then we
cool.
bring 3 to 4 guests every mastermind of people that are maybe have a different skill that we don't have in the group. And the last couple have been a lot about TikTok Shop, to be honest. And
Okay,
so that's a big focus. So we're like, all right, who do we want to, Facebook ads? All right, who's world class that we know that's at Facebook ads for e-commerce. Well, let's bring them. Let's invite them as a guest. And because it's been around so long and done so well, it's been always easy to get super high quality guests. And then the group has been able to like learn together. And so that's been my formation in the back of my head this whole time. So we're going to actually do our first workshop. I'm calling it a workshop in January. I don't know where yet, but we're just going to do January. And I put a poll in the group and I said, hey, January 16th, do you want to come? Yes, no, maybe. And I think I didn't look today, but when I looked, it was like 7 yeses and 3 maybes. And I was like, all right. So not a profit center, but a true workshop limited to like 20 to 30 people. We'll probably fly in like some TikTok shop executive or something like that, or a couple of them to try to like add value to the group, but like really work on it, like deeply work together as a group to solve really hard problems. Wow. So that's been the framework I've used. And I think Matt's right about what you guys are building a fairly big, I would call it top of funnel for a mastermind. And then you might workshop or have an exclusive group of smaller, smaller group size for people that are really like all about scaling.
Yeah. I honestly went to my first mastermind when we won the school games and when we went to Vegas. I didn't know. I mean, even as you're talking now, I'm just like, oh, that was a mastermind. Like it's just new. Sure. It's new to me. I never was, I was never in that world, but it was super amazing. Like chef, all the people were at a high caliber. We were all helping each other for 4 days straight, pool. And then you meet Hermosi, you're hanging out with school team. It was like, everyone walked away just being like so motivated. Everyone's like, this is crazy how much value we got. Our team, we basically opened 2 high ticket conversations and we're kind of working on these relationships that will probably turn into 2 of our 3 spots that we have to service like 3 bigger school groups while we run our group. And it's just like the most value that I've seen. So I'm just so fresh on it. I came back and I'm just like, I'm hyper focused on the like, we basically blew everything up to win the games. And I'm like, okay, like, let's get back. What were we doing? Like before we grew so much to win the game so we could do that, get the value. And so I love the mastermind idea. It does feel like the longest term thing. And those relationships that we're building on Skool are just the most valuable parts. It's why I'm like, I don't need to make money. I actually think there's a new other most valuable thing that's not money that I realize. This sounds like a hook, I'm sorry, but there's another, like, the other super valuable thing I'm realizing we could do right now is sort of a personal brand build out for each of us. We actually were talking about that in Vegas because there's so many content creators there, and we all won the school games on ads only, and none of us have followings anywhere, and we do no organic. And so we're basically like, we won on ads alone, and now we're like, so what does organic content look like today? So we're there with all these, everyone else won the games with organic except us.
Yeah, big
and
following.
And everyone has a big following, and so we're getting this crazy advice from people, and they're shouting us out, and we like, just over the course of 4 days, just getting shouted out by those other people. We're all like more known just being at the event and now going home than before. And so another investment opportunity, I think, for profits that aren't going to go back into our pocket, but could better be an expense for the business. It's just like, I could run ads to the Devon Meadows YouTube to build a YouTube following. Matt could build his YouTube following. Joel could build his following on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. And that's a business expense because we're pitching the group at the end of the day. And we all were kind of talking about how it's probably more valuable to put our profit back into our ads or our personal brands than it is to pay ourselves from this business yet. And and we all have other,
Can I give you a twist in that idea, Devon?
Let's hear it.
All right. So I'm just spitballing here. You've already had some success with high ticket offers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what's your high ticket offer right now, today?
We don't have any public high ticket offers. It's all deals.
Just between you and me. What's the high ticket offer?
Between the two of us, it's like a retainer, 5 to 10K retainer, plus a percentage of however much money they're spending on their ads every month. And that's like, depending on how complicated it's going to be to make that person's ads, like if it's all videos, all images, whatever, it's going to be
Yep.
between 15 and 25% of total spend.
Okay.
So retainer plus percentage, that's our high ticket.
Okay. And then, so no share of revenue.
Just spend, no
Okay,
profit. Yeah.
Okay. And then is there any type of like, I hate to use the word guarantee, but like, hey,
Yeah.
well, you know, one ROAS is the goal, and the spend should be. I mean, if you're spending 5 to 10K on a retainer, I need to drive and percentage of ad spend. I need to drive a significant amount of revenue, right?
Yeah. No guarantee.
Okay.
we basically ran their ads for free, got them to be profitable, and then we're like, you could take it or we could take it. And that's what we've done with everybody so far.
What do you mean you could take it or we could take it?
Like, this is your ad account. This is how we set it up. You want us to run your ads, or do you want to, we've given you the power to run your ads. We've done that.
That was the $1,000 offer?
No, but yeah, I mean, honestly, we've done that for the $1,000 offer people, but we're just not offering them the option of us doing it. And these people that are the bigger school groups, to let us set up their first ads for them and show them the returns. And then they start to get returns. And then we're like, do you want to talk about us doing ads for you? This is what it looks like. If not, we can explain the entire infrastructure that we just built in your thing, and you can do it yourself. And the reason we're doing that is because the relationship with the people at that level is the most valuable thing, whether we get their business or not. Because there's only a few people at the caliber that we want if we're going to take on 3 clients.
No, I think that's a really good approach. I think that's smart, and I think I mean, the network is the most valuable. There's no doubt about it, Devin. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been a big fan of masterminds for a long, long time, and there's no question that building that network. I mean, you know, I've got some relationships with Amazon executives now, and you know, some relationship with TikTok executives. Like, a lot of that is because of the network, right? And you have access to people to help you that you normally wouldn't have access to. Is kind of how I think about it. And then, you know, to maintain those, you should be giving value also to them. So,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to check out the community for sure, because we've run zero ads, like zero.
Yeah.
And so we need to start. It's one of those things we want to build out and start going with, and obviously LinkedIn and TikTok, and we just haven't done anything yet. And so we need to do. Oh, I have another thought for you. Did this come up at the? And if you can't share, just if it's secret still.
Yeah.
Why the heck can't we have affiliates for our school communities when Skool has affiliates?
Yeah. It's coming out. It's coming out like Q1. So in the next 2, 3, 4 months.
So we did our own affiliate program for members. We really haven't even published it. It was kind of like an underground one.
Yeah.
Just a few people have referred people, but we have to track it like on a Google sheet or something, right? We're not, there's no functionality. And then the other part about it is, you know, we got a guy sign up. He's like, one guy's like, hey, I told them. Another guy's like, well, I told them. And we're like, you know, at the end of the day, we're like, well, I asked John who we signed up from, and he didn't say either one of you guys. So what am I supposed to do with that?
Yeah.
So, and it's a tight, you know, fairly tight community. So a lot of these people know each other, right? So challenging.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest lever for growth opportunity, in my opinion. Is happy members.
Yeah, a lot of people want that and believe that's the biggest lever too. I think Sam does too. And it's just a complicated system to build correctly and carefully with like legal and fraud. With one thing that I heard him say that stood out was, like, for example, if somebody refers somebody to your group and they get commission, that person that just joined your group actually paid Stripe. You know, if your group's $100, they paid Stripe $100, and now we have to basically like split the transaction on the side, and then we have to pay a person from that on the side. There's like a lot of sub payments and splits happening in a system that can get pretty complex. And so it's easier sort of on this one way channel that they currently have. But once you open it for everyone, for all groups, they were like, at a large scale, things can break down if it's not built properly. And there's more legal implications too with selling and FTC compliance and stuff. So they're just crossing all their T's, I think, making sure that it's right.
Yeah.
technically.
I mean, happy customers by far best
Yeah.
referral source of all time. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm excited. I'm going to check out your group because I know
Yeah.
we would be like a potential client for someone that wanted to pay to have you guys build it out because
Yeah.
I don't want to do that, and I don't have anybody on my team that is excellent at Facebook ads, so
Yeah.
can't allocate someone on the team to do it. So I think there's a lot of people that are having successful communities. I don't know what that means, 10,000 and up MRR. That would be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, let's run this. And
Mm.
I can imagine the conversion rate is fairly low, but if you've got a higher ticket offer, above $100, let's just say,
Mm-hmm.
the math can work out. You don't need to convert at a
Yeah.
crazy high rate for the math to work.
Yeah. We see the ads as the funnel for high ticket offers, and the about page is something that you can update like seasonally to keep it fresh,
Mm.
as opposed to having a funnel for high ticket. And then you can add a Calendly link, and you could track that as an optimization event if you want in Facebook as well. If you need to do a sales call to close, like Calendly has some good metadata, Facebook ad data. Um, so that works well over $100, and then $100 and under, 2 to 6% conversion rate direct to Skool about page is typical for
Oh,
people that we've
wow.
helped.
That's
Yeah,
pretty good.
very good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's for an ecom guy. That's pretty good for cold traffic.
it's very good. Yeah, I mean, Sam is no joke at building this page. He's worked really hard to build something that's very restricted so that people can't like just overthink their way into a scenario where they're gonna get a bad like conversion rate. And if you build a good offer and you use the best practices that Sam and Hermosi are putting out there, it converts pretty much at least 2% for everybody. But ours is it when we're driving good traffic, we're testing Google Ads right now. And we've kind of botched our conversion rate because we're running a ton of broad keywords. It's like
Yeah.
before we were doing that, we were consistently at like 5-6% spending up to 30K a month to our Skool group. So it's pretty doable. I mean,
What was your average like CPA, cost per acquisition?
it's like between 50 and 100, but and that's because our price changes. Like our price has gone from free all the way to 100. And so the first few months it went from free to $20 a month while we were getting our first 100 members. And then we went to $30 a month for about a month, $40 a month, and then that Skool games month we had price changes every week from $40 to $100 a month. So there's basically always a lock a lifetime price in right now offer going on Facebook. And now that we're at 100 a month permanently, the game's harder. I'd say our conversion rate is like sticking between 4 and 5 now. It's like it's really good. The way that I see the about page is like a VSL, like a micro VSL, 3 to 5 minute
Okay.
video, and then 5 images, 1,000 characters, and you swap the video out every month with a new VSL that has some kind of reason to buy this month only. And then the images are quick hits of just like literally like quick dopamine hits. People swipe and see them for 2 seconds on their phones. And so the text has got to be huge, and you got to circle whatever it is you're doing, and there can't be very much. And so it's like doing that, it basically has worked for almost everybody that we've tried to like get their conversion rate up. It's just like simplifying.
Yeah, to me, when you say that, I think of like storyboarding, right? And I
Mm,
think of like an e-commerce, like an Amazon listing. When I talk to my team about it, it's always if they could only look at the images, do they know what the product's about and do they know what it does and would they want to buy?
mm-hmm.
They couldn't read anything else, couldn't see any bullet points or A plus content or anything else. Does that tell the story of what the product is and
Mm,
what it does? And so when you talk like that, that's exactly how I think about it as storyboarding, right? And I'll be
yeah.
honest, ours probably sucks because we
Mm,
kind of just threw it up there and we haven't had to really
yeah.
optimize. We did make a fun
Yeah.
video, which I like a fast paced video. That's pretty
Yeah.
fun, but there's no doubt if we're going to run traffic, we got to spend a little bit. Somebody on my team's got to put some time into the about page.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you're in word of mouth land where your reputation's basically carrying people over the finish line, it's like, it's okay. You haven't run ads
No,
yet.
it's great.
Yeah.
This is a great way to run a business. I
Yeah.
love this.
It's
business. Don't get me
nice.
wrong, but
Yeah.
I'm a scale guy, so I just think about it and think, all
Yeah.
right, well, how do we 10x this, man? How do we
Yeah.
10x what we are today with ads?
Would you run free trials for your 500 or would you avoid that?
That's a good question. Honestly, I'm open to everything, buddy.
Yeah.
I
I'd
mean, I'm
run free
not
trials.
like a 7 day.
7 day. It's
It
kind of
makes
rough.
sense.
It's kind of a rough feel to it. Like $500 and you get a free trial feels a little, might feel off to some people. But because of the features of Skool, you could literally like gate everything for 7 days, for instance, in your classroom. So no one can
Mm,
see that for 7 days. You could you'd set limits. You don't get an onboarding call until you pay. You could basically cover your ass with the feature set of Skool so that you can offer free trials, and that really will help you not have to do as many like magic tricks to get people to sign up for 500 direct to a Skool about page.
I like that idea a lot because these onboarding calls end up being a half-hour consulting call with me, which
Mm-hmm.
honestly I don't want to. I don't want to do free trials and a half
Yeah.
hour. I'll be booked up all day, buddy. So
Yep.
that's not the angle I want to go. But if I can lock it, because that's another thing about people that are not for people that are not on Skool. You know, a lot of these people, it's got gamification built in, right? And it's got level 1, 2, 3, 4. I've joined a bunch of communities on Skool, and when I'm paying $100 or more, I don't want to wait level 5 or level 6. So we don't have anything
Yeah.
gated right now.
Yeah.
Everything's at level 1. You
Mm-hmm.
sign up, you get access to everything. Because as a consumer, for me at least, I'm like, wait a minute. I want to see this now. Like, this is why I joined. I don't want to wait. I'm not going to go, honestly, I'm not going to go do the comment thing and
Mm-hmm.
like thing. I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to either have my VA do it or I'm going to gamify it myself and hack it.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, that's how I'm going to handle it anyway
Mm-hmm.
because I just want to see the content.
Yeah.
So, I do like the free trial piece a lot, and then we could give a taste, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
of it, of what it's about, and then the community part, the classroom part, or the community part is the really big thing I think for people. I
Yeah.
just wonder if we'd get a lot of people in there, I don't know, spamming. I
Yeah.
mean, do you get a lot of spammers with the free trial of people like soliciting and or turning off the community in some capacity?
Mm. We've had our free trial on for about a week now. We've
Okay,
probably had, I think we've had 50 or 60 free trial signups in that time. And we haven't had anybody who's spammed yet.
okay,
So for what it's worth, small sample size, but there's a risk there. I think over the long term, there'll be some kind of issue with that will be an added cost to doing free trials is catching the bullshit that might come with that for sure. I've seen that
moderation
there've
piece.
been a few people that are in the free trial that they're just speaking from a place of like they haven't converted yet and they're like questioning the validity and then they do a post and that's not a good feel. But what's nice is because we've kind of built up such a reputation, like our members just descend on those people for us. So it's kind of like, well, kind of nice. It kind of proves a point to me. If you have a good group, the group almost like will handle the free trial people for you. But it's so early. I don't know. It's still kind of potential for Lord of the Flies out there with the with the way you set things up. It's like it all comes down to how have you set up your group? What are the expectations when people join? I know that Skool's working on an onboarding feature. Things will be way different if there's an official onboarding for the group where everyone has to watch a video, agree to these rules instead of like a welcome post that's pinned and then you have to click a link and then it takes you to the classroom and now you're figuring out what is classroom. And instead it's just like, boom, welcome to the group. This is a video you have to watch. A lot of things will change with a few more added features that are coming. And but right now it's still kind of it's still kind of early, but I'm very into free trials as opposed to what a lot of people do, which is like a free group and then a paid group and they
Yeah.
ascend people from free to paid. Um,
I
yeah,
it's interesting. I mean, I'd love to see what you come up with numbers after you do it for a while. How many
yeah,
of those free trials turn in
yeah.
to quality people? Because
Mm-hmm.
the knuckleheads that are out there, they're going to join and say dumb things. They're going to self-select themselves out of it anyway.
Yeah.
Um, That's an interesting thought. I think the higher end the group, or the higher the cost of the group, I think the less likely I would be to go with a free trial.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I was kind of like with 500, it almost like it might make people feel weird to just anyone can get in here and look around and talk for. That's the problem with it currently, at that price point. And honestly, we're still experimenting with free trials. And I think our thought was like, it's a 7-day trial, so we had no new MRR for 7 days when we started this, because you can't just pay. You have to do a trial, and you have to pay.
Hold on, Devin. Hold on 1 second, dude. I'm gonna come right back.
Yeah.
There's a DHL guy I gotta sign. Don't go
Oh
anywhere.
yeah. No problem.
Don't go anywhere, bro. He just came in. Hey, man. I just wanted to make sure someone was here. You need me to sign real quick? Yeah, but I'll look at the pockets. I just wanted to make sure someone was here. Oh yeah, I'm here. How did you just get your name already? Rob Green. What was it? Rob Green. Rob Green? Yeah, Rob Green. And then just drop him off. Thanks, man. Sorry, bro. Yo. Sorry,
Yo.
Devin.
What's up, man?
No, we ordered these like 400 boxes to get delivered, and it's DHL, so I have to sign for it. And I can see the guy walking down the hallway yelling, "Hello, hello, hello!" So
Yeah.
we'll edit that. Edit at 1 minute. Edit 1 hour. So I'll just wrap it up here, man. This has been great, by the way. So
Yeah.
but yeah. So Devin, I think this is awesome. Thanks for spending so much time with me. I'm gonna check out the community. I really think for people that aren't utilizing Skool, whether they want to build their own community or just join. I've joined, I think, 20 probably communities,
Yeah.
a bunch paid and a bunch of free ones. There's so much valuable content on there and valuable communities. I think everybody should check it out.
Yes, dude, absolutely. And are you familiar with Trey? His last name is Llewellyn, I think. Llewellyn.
I've seen that name somewhere, but I don't know why.
He's like in the funnel hackers community, I believe.
Okay.
He's in Russell Brunson's sort of like inner circle,
Oh,
but he's a big
okay.
e-commerce guy, and he's got a Skool group that is basically a group that helps e-commerce stores leverage Skool for their e-commerce stores, and like basically bring your customers onto a community platform to basically get MRR if you're not getting MRR for e-commerce stores specifically. And it might be an interesting person for you to talk to. You two would really, I feel like, enjoy talking to one another with the way where your worlds are. I just feel the need to connect you.
Yeah, no, I
awesome.
appreciate that. I'm going to definitely check. I'll reach out to him. I'll check him out for sure, because I think I firmly believe that community is missing for so many people, especially entrepreneurs. I mean, so many people are on a silo. They're in a silo on their own, and you need that community, and it's 1 + 1 = 3 every time I've ever done anything like this. So, well, man, if I can help with anything, Devin, moving forward, if you guys decide to do a workshop or anything, I can lay out like what we do. Through the 20 some we've done, and have pulled off some really happy and successful ones. So if I can ever help with anything, don't hesitate to reach out.
I'm sure I will. We're also super like bullish on TikTok, but we don't know at all what we're doing, and it's embarrassing to not know what you're doing and enter the ring of TikTok. And so I'm curious about your offer. I want to check it out. I want to hear about what type of results people can get, because I tried TikTok Shop for my ecom brand, but I'm basically a dinosaur, and so I did it all wrong, and I abandoned it because I felt like I wasn't confident enough to figure out how to move forward without learning things I didn't have time to learn. So it might be interesting to just talk about that sometime.
It's the fastest moving platform I've ever been on. And I think the biggest value to new people is that don't make the same mistakes we all made when we first started earlier this year. Like we wasted months getting set up, getting the ads accounts. I mean, just dumb stuff, flash sale mistakes, all sorts of mistakes were like cost us so much time, which is money. And then obviously ads mistakes and just all these things. You're like, because it's so fast moving, you're like, we have an account manager at TikTok, and she's like, oh, stuff changed. I got to check the guidelines. It changed last week. I mean, it's always moving so fast that's where I think it's easy to bring value to a group to that, because everybody's learning so quickly and like, oh, I tried this. This didn't work. It worked 3 weeks ago. It doesn't work now. Okay, how do we do this? So I think that's the cool part about it for people is you're buying time and you're buying a group of people who are committed to it.
Mm.
Um, and then
Mm-hmm.
obviously there's the little tweak stuff, right? It's like, all right, here's a creative challenge you can sign up for and get creators for free. And then here's a bot you can use to do invites or whatever it might
Mm.
be, like the tools used. I think I think of it like a community curation.
Mm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
so they're vetted because nowadays there's 8 million tools for every single activity you ever want to do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's fun, man.
Yeah. The buyer intent, like capturing the buyer on TikTok seems like a hard mode objective to me because of the speed. And it's like getting them to actually stop, go
Yeah,
buy something. It must be like, do you often get them in retargeting, convert them elsewhere, convert them later? Or do you get a lot of people that are buying impulse through your,
it's mainly impulse on platform, and then we do see overflow off platform.
hmm,
Generally, Amazon. That's the easiest place for people to go, and you can
yeah.
see changes in brand-based search volume.
Hmm.
So they'll literally go search the brand name and the keyword, and you can see that data within Amazon in the platform. So you
Oh
can see
yeah.
when something that goes viral spikes off platform, off TikTok platform search volume, which then moves the flywheel on Amazon, generates better rankings, and all the other fun stuff that comes along with that. So that's kind of how
Mm-hmm.
I think about it. I think of Amazon more bottom of the funnel now as a cashier, and I
Mm.
think of TikTok top of the funnel, discovery, impulse buying. They're going to
Mm.
roll out subscriptions like Q1, they say. But
Hmm.
as of now, if you've got a subscribable product, Amazon's the way to go because then you don't have to worry about them buying again next month. You put them on the subscription.
Mm. Wow. Okay. That's really interesting. I Dude, I have some wild Amazon FBA stories for another time. One time
Oh, you and me both, buddy.
yeah, I gave away all my product one time accidentally on a BOGO deal because I
Yep.
accidentally put buy one get this one free,
Yep.
and 2 o'clock in the morning, some dude in Iowa bought like 2,000 of my things. I'm like, shoot.
I've had a
That,
few employees do
yeah.
that where they put a massive coupon on and they stacked it to another coupon and then they bought it for 25 cents or something crazy and
Mm-hmm.
12:01 in the morning we're out of stock and
Yeah.
yeah I've had that happen more than I'd care to.
Yeah. That
It's crazy.
it's not a good feeling, but
No,
definitely
not. No,
teaches
I've
you
kind of
some
become
stuff.
numb to it, Kevin.
Yeah.
I'm numb to all that nonsense, to be honest. It's been so many years of dealing with it. I'm like, oh, listing's down. Okay. We'll
Mm,
figure it out. We'll get it back up. I'm just
hmm.
numb to the experience, I think. But anyway, it's
Yeah,
been great talking to you, man. If I can ever help with anything, don't hesitate to reach out, buddy.
for sure, man. It was really good to meet you. Really good to hang out. Thanks for having me.
All right. Cheers, man. Take care.
See you.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with friends. Visit I'mTheOne.com and ask me anything. And as always, stay curious and never stop becoming the one.